Shortly before the release of Tears of the Kingdom, I wrote and recorded a video talking about the path Zelda has taken and how pitiful it is that old Zelda is just kind of being completely forgotten. In that video, I talked about how much Breath of the Wild disappointed me and how Tears of the Kingdom, despite fixing many issues I had with Breath of the Wild, was ultimately underwhelming to me. But hey, overall I'd say it was a good game. But then I watched some reviews of it. Some positive, some negative, some really negative. And it got me thinking about the future of Zelda. Again, Zelda has been a part of my life for so long. I remember being 6 years old, excited out of my mind for Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword is 12 years old now, okay. But it kind of saddens me to see the series go in the direction of openness that often leads to a terrible balance in game progression. For the first time in my entire life, my faith in Zelda is waning. And to make it all worse, my most hyped game of this year came out, and I had the highest expectations for it. But it managed to surpass them all, and then some. Pikmin 4 is a perfect 10 out of 10 game, and anyone who disagrees is stupid. Pikmin 3 took the formula of Pikmin 1 and fine-tuned it to near perfection, so then Pikmin 4 comes along and does the same for Pikmin 2. Now granted, Pikmin 2 had a certain charm to it amongst other things that make it my favorite, but 4 comes damn close to phasing 2 out. I recognize that 4 is a better game, but I just love 2 more. Almost everything 4 does is done to perfection, honestly. The only complaint I have is that the lock-on is too strict and the difficulty is easy peasy. Other than that though, this game is great. I fell asleep playing this game because I just didn't want to stop playing. That's how addicting it was. Also, shout out the fact that this game has a piss poor character creator, so you don't spend the first 3 hours of the game designing your character. Street Fighter 6, Xenoblade X, and any Soulsborne game. Also, I can't believe that they basically just remade Pikmin 1 within Pikmin 4. What the fuck? Pikmin 4 is genuinely one of the best games I've ever played, period, and it's almost the perfect Pikmin game. In fact, this game is so good that it opened my eyes a little bit. There's no exact answer as to when Pikmin 4 started development. There were rumblings about it in 2015, but I think Miyamoto was mostly talking about that game at the time. Then in 2017, Miyamoto announced that he was putting Pikmin on the back burner to focus on other games. I assume Splatoon 2 and Mario Odyssey were the games he was talking about, seeing as those were going to be released around the time of this announcement, and I imagine that Nintendo got serious about Pikmin 4 around the time of Pikmin 3 Deluxe's release, October of 2020. And everything before that was just mere conceptualization. Tears of the Kingdom, on the other hand, has some pretty concrete answers to when development began. In 2017, after Breath of the Wild was released. Breath of the Wild is the most successful Zelda game of all time, and for better or worse, it saved the series from a grim fate. Tears of the Kingdom has sold over half the amount Breath of the Wild did in just 4 months. Clearly, people want to buy these kinds of games. So, of course, they started making a new one as soon as Breath of the Wild came out. If you really want to be an asshole, you can say that Tears of the Kingdom started development at the same time as Breath of the Wild did back in 2012. I mean, they have the same game world after all. Seeing as both of these games took a while to be developed, you'd think I'd have an equal amount of respect for the care and detail that went into them. But no. Tears of the Kingdom was reportedly finished in 2022, and the Zelda team spent an entire extra year just polishing the game. And yet, the game is still just a mess. The camera sucks, Ultra Hand is janky as hell, and almost every puzzle in this game can be easily cheesed. Furthermore, that year could have been spent making cooler things to fill the world than with just Korok seeds and this stupid sign shit. Nobody wants to do this. Every time I see that now, I just know that the devs just couldn't think of anything better to do in this world we've already seen before. When I first heard that Tears of the Kingdom would be reusing Breath of the Wild's world, my first thought was, yeah, that makes sense. And then my second thought was, A Link Between Worlds has the same game world as A Link to the Past, and that game is fucking awesome. Hopefully, they'll be able to pull it off again. But no, they didn't. The only time this game wowed me was when I entered the depths for the first time. And then every subsequent visit was a pain in the ass because that place is only useful for grinding materials you need to do the actual fun stuff in the game. And don't even get me started on the dungeons, or the characters, or the combat, or the bosses, or the story, or the voice acting, and how it's still dog-ass and the game would have been better off without it. Yes, that includes the other languages as well. And Ganondorf, Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf was the most disappointing thing to ever happen since my son. No. I told myself this wouldn't be a hit piece on Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild. So it won't be, okay? Look, I had a lot of problems with Breath of the Wild, so much so that it is my least favorite 3D Zelda game. It's a 6 out of 10 at best. Tears of the Kingdom does fix a lot of issues that I had, but there are still some things that leave a sour taste in my mouth. Do I hate both of these games? No. Do I think they are bad? No. Do I think they are good? No. They're just okay to me. Am I nostalgia blinded by the other 3D Zelda games? No. Well, yes, but Breath of the Wild is also a part of that. I was 11 years old when that game came out.
You guys have no idea how angry I am right now.
I would give anything to go back in time and have it with the wonder of exploring the new Hyrule and discovering so many weird things for the first time again. It's the main reason I still come back to the game after all this time. It's the reason why, on the Wii U, I've done all 120 shrines and completed all the major quest chains. Holy God, the frame rate is awful on the Wii U. Tears of the Kingdom, on the other hand, just seems faulty. It feels less like its own game and more like a remix of Breath of the Wild. I know I'm one of 3 people who actually care for the Zelda timeline, but I'm pretty upset with the implications this game has for it. I have been significantly less loyal to the Pikmin franchise, and yet Pikmin 4 makes me feel none of this. Every problem I had with Pikmin 4 was nowhere near as insulting to me, and honestly, I don't know whether it's because Pikmin chose not to shit in the face of its predecessors or not.
What's wrong, Chief? Having a little trouble walking?
Or whether it's because it's just that fucking good. Now I wonder whether or not I would have bought Tears of the Kingdom if I hadn't received it as a birthday gift. But for now, I can confidently say that if Aonuma were to announce a brand new 3D Zelda game tomorrow, I probably wouldn't give a shit. I'd genuinely be more excited for Game Pigeon 8 Ball 2. And that breaks my heart to say. But it's the truth. I've lost faith in Zelda. Pikmin, on the other hand, has only gotten better. So where does that leave us now? Will I forever abandon the series? Will I never get to play a Zelda game again? Will I take down the 5 Zelda posters around my room and get rid of all my Zelda amiibos? No. If a new game does come out, chances are I'll play it, but I'd more likely wait for it to be on sale or something. I don't want you walking out of this video thinking I hate Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, or that I think they're flawed games, but they are. They're just not for me anymore. So I guess I just wanted to ask you, what do you make of all this? Do you at all feel the same? Do you think I'm crazy? Have I left you with an existential dread as well? Open world games have never really been my thing. If a game is too open, then I'm hesitant to invest time into it because I could be playing 3 much smaller games in the same amount of time it takes for me to beat one open world game. I wouldn't have to feel like I'm wasting my time if I get lost. I wouldn't have to feel like a dumbass for missing out on an optional side quest that gives you some sort of ability that breaks the game. I wouldn't have to be distracted by a side quest that leads into another side quest that leads into another side quest that leads into another side quest, all to culminate into a reward that really is just not that worth it. And unfortunately, that is exactly what Tears of the Kingdom is, and what Pikmin 4 isn't. Oh, and making Link right-handed is also a crime that I just will never forgive. Hashtag bring left-handed Link back.